So we're turning over onto our side onto the mat now for the next section. If you're comfortable with your bottom arm, you can take that bottom arm out along the mat and tuck your towel in between your head and your shoulder there. If that's uncomfortable onto the shoulder, bring the bottom arm forwards and maybe find yourself a second towel so that you can still have your head and neck nicely supported. We're starting with our level 1 climb. So we've got feet, knees and hips stacked. Feet then in line with your hips and hips in line with your shoulder there. If you're onto a mat, sometimes using the back edge of the mat to line yourself up against gives you that little bit of a prompt. But also looking down, seeing those feet as you pick them up, see the hip, place them down, and then we push that top waist away to lift the lower waist as much as we can, securing that again by bringing your tummy button through to your spine. We're working into your glutes, so those buttock muscles. Think of pulling the sit bones together, those bones at the pelvis, tightening before we even do a movement so that we know we're going to be firing into these deep glute muscles into the side of the buttock and hip here. Feet are together and level 1 climb. As you breathe out, we're peeling that top knee up towards the ceiling and slowly down. The feet stay together and rested down to the mat as we think of that clamshell opening and then gently closing down. Feel that you're working those muscles, particularly in that top hip, and you might want to feel with your fingertips over that area so you can feel those muscles working. Maybe even thinking initially just of pulling those sit bones together and feel that tightening before you even do the lift with your knee. Imagine a cup of water onto this top hip, and we don't want to allow that to spill. So we're not allowing any rotation through the spine, just a pure lift from the hip. Once you've completed 10 maximum, again have a little breather. You might want to give that side of the hip a little bit of a tap, and then you can come back into it again. If you feel you need to do that before you reach your 10, that's absolutely fine. But then again, you can go back into it so that we're working into those glutes. And again, this might be a time when you want to pause the video for a moment, just so you could repeat an extra set. This is option 1, and you can stay here. So if you feel this is challenging through the side of that hip, or you're struggling to get to your 10, or you feel any discomfort at all, stay at this level. If you're feeling quite comfortable though and we want an extra challenge, once you've done your set of 10 here, keep the feet together and scoop those feet up to hip height so that we come into our level 2 climb position. With the next out breath again, then we float that knee up to the ceiling and slowly down. So it's the same movement, rotating with the top hip, but we've got a larger range of movement because the feet are lifted. We've also got less stability, so it's going to work into these stabilising muscles more. A little bit more challenging here. As we repeat up to your maximum of 10, take a breather, come back to it if you feel comfortable, and repeat those sets of 10 so that you feel that you've worked hard and challenged over the top of the hip there. Now, I have one more progression for this exercise if you want to. So as always, you don't have to add the progressions in, but they're there if needed. So the progression for this would be to make it a little bit more of an open chain exercise. So we lift the top knee, straighten the leg, taking the foot away, then fold the knee to bring the feet back together and let the knee come to rest down. So from that level 2 climb position, the feet stay hovered, we lift the top knee, straighten that leg to take the foot away, coming into almost a diagonal line, the feet come back together and let that knee come to rest. Only adding this on to the end though, if you're feeling that you're getting on quite well with those previous climb exercises as that extra little challenge. And again, maximum of 10, stopping before though if you need to. And then once you've completed those repetitions, you can allow that leg to come down, let that knee come to rest, and let those feet come to rest back down to the mat. We're going to leave the hips then, maybe slide that leg forwards, release a little over the side of the hip. If you've got a spiky ball at home, nice time maybe to rub that spiky ball just over the side of the hip, maybe over the side of the leg. And then we're going into some arm openings. So feet stay stacked into that position. The bottom arm though now needs to slide forwards. So if you've not got two towels, roll the towel up into a little bit more of a sausage shape. Bring that bottom arm forwards, and we'll start with the head towards the front of the towel so that we'll have support for the neck as we go into our arm openings exercise. And this is a lovely one if you've been finding that you've been sat for a little while. Also a really good one for a golf swing. So short lever to start off with. Hand rested to the side of your head. Breath in. And as you breathe out, take that top elbow up and over, rotating through the spine. But that cup of water stays still on that top hip. So we get a lovely stretch through the upper back. Breath in. And then as you breathe out, let that elbow come back over and back to that start position. And again, breathing out, we rotate round, opening through the chest. Breath in. And as you breathe out again, let that elbow come back into that start position. So the movement is with the out breath. The in breath then allows an expansion at the ribs to give us an extra stretch. And we allow that elbow to come back to that start position. Now, if this feels okay and we want to progress a little bit more, we go to a long lever position. So into that palm to start. Then again with the out breath, we take that long arm up and over. Again, we're turning with the upper body, head in line with the breastbone, hand in line with the shoulder. So don't allow the arm to go back all on its own and feel any strain or stretch across the pecs there. The hand stays stacked above the shoulder and the stretch is into the upper back, into around the ribs there. Again, breath in. And as you breathe out, let that hand come round and back to that palm to palm. And again, breathing out, we turn, rotating round, opening the chest, breath in. And as we breathe out, we bring that hand back round and back to that palm to palm. Fantastic. So before we go over and onto the opposite side, we'll just stretch into the hip that we worked really hard. So we can go onto the back to do that. Flatten your towel down so that your head will be supported. And the leg that was your top hip, hug that knee in towards your chest. Then place that foot onto the opposite knee and turn that knee away. So we're thinking of creating a figure 4 type shape with the hip there. Gently pressing out. Don't force this movement, go as far as you're comfortable to so that you feel a stretch but one that's tolerable. If this is enough of a stretch, this is as far as you go. If you need it a little stronger, we lift the supporting leg and draw that leg in using the hands there to deepen that pull over the back of the hip on that leg that we're stretching. We want to be able to hold this for a good 30 seconds to give those big structures a chance to adapt and change. So not forcing into a position that's too uncomfortable at all. Once we've had that stretch, we'll release that leg, let that foot come down. We'll come over onto the side, come up to sitting, and then again just open into the hip that was our top leg before we go down and onto the opposite side. So, legs out in front. You could always sit on your towel if you feel it's a little bit too much of a stretch into your hamstring. Knee folded. If you can, bring that foot across the opposite leg, then using the opposite arm to the knee that we've drawn across, we hug that knee and we gently turn behind to feel a stretch over the side of the hip. Don't force this, it's quite a strong stretch, but it's a lovely way of opening over the side of the hip there. We're sat tall and aiming to think about bringing the knee towards the chest as we go into that turn and rotation. Again, towards that 30 seconds if we can, then bring the foot back to the inside of that straight leg. Let the knee drop down. Again, don't force. Your knee might be all up here and that's absolutely fine. Let gravity take that knee out. Sit tall through your sit bones. Feel that opening through the back of the pelvis, and ideally holding again for towards that 30-second point. If you need to increase that, we're sat beautifully tall, no sinking into the base of the spine, and we fold from the hips to gently bring the body weight forwards, and that will deepen that pull through the pelvis and through the back of the leg. 30 seconds, then release, and let that leg relax, and we're ready to take the towel down to the opposite side and repeat in reverse. So you may want to re-watch this video so you can complete all of that onto the opposite side.